Fox News alert to what is being described as a very active scene currently under investigation in Boston. You can see this box truck with a Penske label on it on its side. On a sidewalk in Boston, multiple pedestrians were struck and carried to the hospital. You can see the police tape encompassing a pretty big area there, right in the middle of the business day. Here's what we know so far and what we are now learning. Multiple pedestrians were struck in what appeared to be a box truck in downtown Boston. The Boston PD press office has put out additional details. When asked if this appears to be accidental or intentional, the response was it's currently under investigation. They also are telling people to avoid the area. I want to bring in former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis by phone. Ed, I just want to work through some more details here. The call came in about 12:48 p.m. Officers responded to a radio call for a motor vehicle accident. Pedestrians struck at this intersection, downtown Boston, right outside Tufts Hospital in Chinatown. Upon arrival, officers observed a truck that appeared to have struck a nearby building, as well as an unknown number of pedestrians. Boston Fire and EMS are on the scene assisting in rescue efforts. Some of our video did show some of the pedestrians being carried off in stretchers. You can see broken glass from the storefronts all over the ground there. They're describing this as a very active scene. They still don't have a total number of victims yet. At least 2 are critical. And the homicide teams are on site. And the fatal accident teams are also there responding. So, Ed, give us your thoughts as we're waiting on more information. Also hearing now that the firefighters had to use extrication tools to remove the trapped driver from the cab of the truck. Your thoughts?
Sure. That particular intersection, Nealon Street in particular, is a very highly traveled roadway, very congested. A lot of pedestrians on the sidewalk there as it butts up against Chinatown. It's a tragic situation to see that truck on its side like that, assuming that it rolled over on pedestrians, and it does appear as though two people transported from the scene are in critical condition. It's common practice for the homicide unit to respond to something like this when you have critical injuries. That doesn't mean that everyone is going to die. It just means that the injuries are such that they should do a very thorough investigation. So the homicide unit teams up with the accident investigators, and they do a very comprehensive review of the scene. As far as using the jaws of life to extricate the driver of the truck, that's not unusual when there's that kind of damage to a vehicle. They try to get them out as safely and stably as possible. The other thing that's important to remember in a situation like this is Penske is mostly a rental truck company, so it brings up the question as to how much experience the driver had and whether there were mechanical issues that caused this to happen or some other type of problem that the driver had in controlling the truck. So, again, tragic situation here in Boston.
From the video, Boston Fire is saying this truck first hit multiple light poles, then flipped over and is currently wedged between a pole and a building. It sounds like you know this area pretty well. I assume there's going to be a whole lot of surveillance cameras in that area that might have caught what happened here?
There's no question Tufts Hospital has a large number of cameras. In a lot of the businesses down there have cameras out in front. There's also traffic cameras on that road, so I think we'll get a really good look at what happened. If they hit, telephone poles and traffic control signals, it's kind of an indication that they weren't targeting or aiming for pedestrians. It sounds like there might be some other explanation for it, which is the big question in a situation like this in a downtown area.
Yeah, Ed, noting that, though, that it did strike multiple poles and is wedged, as it's described, between a pole and a building, you have to think that the truck was moving at a pretty good clip to have, taken the poles down to make it then to people that were walking on the side. You can see a fire hydrant that looks to have been taken out during this as well, Ed.
Right, I agree. That is troubling. There is an entrance and exit to the to Route 93, one of the major highway systems in Boston, right down the street here. So you wonder whether that truck came off the highway and was going too fast for the location. I'll tell you that, as I said, that is a heavily traveled and very congested piece of roadway in the city. So speed is definitely going to be an issue.
And now that those investigators are getting on scene there, what's really the first thing they're going to try to do? They're going to try to talk to the driver. They're going to try to talk to witnesses, the victims in the hospital if they're able to talk. What are those detectives going to be doing now?
Well, actually, it's all of the above. But the first responsibility is to rescue people and get them to the hospital. So they don't spend a lot of time questioning injured people. They want to get them in an ambulance and get them out of there to make sure that they're okay. There are a number of high-level trauma centers in the area, so that's going to be a fairly easy and quick process. Then it's a matter of slowing things down. You want to secure the scene, put up that ubiquitous yellow tape around everything, just to make sure that nothing is moved. And then they will start taking photographs and measurements at the scene. It's also common practice nowadays to use drones that have special traffic accident or traffic crash software that can document every piece of evidence there for later review. Traffic reconstruction is a heavily sort of mathematics-laden responsibility of the investigators, and it takes time to work out skid marks and the amount of speed that the truck was operating in. And then absolutely, they will be looking at onboard computer systems on vehicles to see, what kind of more or less black box, if you make a comparison to an airplane, information they can get. But they will also talk to witnesses, including the driver and any of the victims, any people that were on the sidewalk there that they can find, and then, as we said earlier, video is probably the best witness.
Yeah, 4 people reportedly taken to the hospital. We know Boston police have confirmed 2 in critical condition. There was another 2 pedestrians that were apparently close enough to the scene that they were asked if they wanted to go to the hospital and did not. You would assume they would probably be witnesses that they're talking to in the investigation at this point. Boston police also saying in another detail that the truck hit the building before overturning, which leads to the question, when it overturned, is that when it hit the pedestrians, or did it hit them head on as it entered the sidewalk? So this is a live scene out of Boston. Ed Davis is joining us on the phone as we wait more details on what occurred here and why this vehicle ended up on the sidewalk, why it mowed down pedestrians, waiting on an update on them as well as the driver who had to be extricated from the vehicle. So this is the scene. We're waiting on new details out of Boston, Massachusetts. Police asking all to avoid the area.